Hello, my name's Clement and I'm a practicing barrister in employment law. Welcome to my website, or if you listen to this on a podcast, welcome to my podcast. On the 19th of April 2018, I had the pleasure of attending a discussion in the House of Commons about the Windrush Generation and their right to live and work in the UK. This is what I filmed.
I'm now going to ask another one of my parliamentary colleagues, Butler, who's also campaigned on this issue, and she has some thoughts to share with us. It's been quite an emotional time, actually. As I get from room to room to room, I think I'm getting a bit more radical as I get to each room. You're the last room, so I might start swearing. Which is warning you from now. But, so the thing is this, right? And I'm sure that after talked about the historical context, I talked about my parents are from Jamaica, and talked about how much they love their mother country. And I remember sitting down with my dad, God bless his soul, and saying to him, Dad, let's sing the national anthem. And I started singing Jamaica, Land I Love, God Bless America. And he started singing God Save the Queen. And I'm thinking, what's going on? But it shows you the depth of love and all the feelings that they had when they came to this country. And to now to see people that look like my dad, my mum, my uncle, my auntie on TV saying that they now feel like a criminal, they now feel like an illegal immigrant. They were never an immigrant, they were never migrants, they were expats. Yeah? They were expats. And they came here to work. They left their sunny times in Jamaica to come here to see fog, thinking it was fog and snow, but they never seen snow. They came here to work, and my dad never had a day sick in his whole life. Yeah? He never had a day sick in his whole life. And now I'm seeing people, every time I mention it, I get emotional. But the 69-year-old man that says he now feels surplus to requirements. Can you imagine that the country that he's made his home, that he's got his kids and his grandkids, and making him feel surplus to requirements? Our Prime Minister's making him feel surplus to requirements? How bloody dare you? Prime Minister is her. I'm going to have to write to her, and I'm going to have to say to her, I want 20 experienced opportunity than we have today to deal with it. Yes. So let's come together and let's deal with it. Yes.
People have asked me about what I said in the comments. Let me just be absolutely clear, because I'm a Christian. I opened my mouth, and out of my mouth came my dead mother and father. And they spoke a certain kind of truth. And that truth is a truth that begins with the story of the Caribbean and the West Indies. Because the Caribbean and the West Indies didn't just come about by accident. The relationship between this country and our people is indelible. It is a bond that goes back 400 years. When we think of the Windrush children, we cannot think of the Windrush children without also thinking of Windrush ancestors. And so our story begins when ships brought Africans from the continent of Africa to the Caribbean. We were enslaved people. And after slavery ended, we were colonized people. And part of the business of being colonized is we were British subjects. We served in the First World War, where many died. We served in the Second World War, and many died. We were invited under the Nationality Act of 1948 to come to this country, to rebuild this country after the rubble of the Second World War. And I think of so many of my aunts and relatives who were the backbone of the NHS. I think of my mother working on London Underground, stationed at Camden Town Tube Station. I think of many jobs that Brits did not want to do, that we did. And I will never forget my father telling me about those signs. No blacks, no Irish, no dollars. So our history in this country did not begin with the Windrush children. It is a history that goes back 400 years. And you cannot colonize people. Make them your subjects. And then 70 years, send them across the Atlantic. And for people who did not have a passport, I know that story of not having a passport. What that really means is many of those people never had a holiday. Yes. So you can't and send them back home. So we have had from the Prime Minister a blanket apology. But it was Martin Luther King who said, justice delayed is justice denied. And so there are some detail now that we want to see. For people who have been deported back to countries that they never knew, for people who have been detained, prisoners in their own country, paid their taxes, paid their national insurance, and then denied NHS treatment if you now have cancer. Denied your pension that you have contributed to. Told that you are not now able to seek public funds. That you are not able to work in this country. I'm afraid, as Caribbean people, we are not going to forget our history. We don't just want to hear an apology, we want reparation. We want compensation. Each of those individuals deserve an apology. And when they talk about this hotline for people, we don't want another hotline where they're asking for evidence that we can't supply. We found out now that the landing cards have been destroyed. And let me tell you, and Arthur, as a historian, will have a great sense of this. We have, just down in Brixton, the Black Cultural Archives. How dare you destroy our history? How dare you destroy our history and not consult us? And then, with this evidence that we're now providing, how many people, going back to the 60s, can find a payslip from the 60s or the 70s? How many of us are able to go back to a primary school that we went to in 1972 or 1973 and expect them to have the records that you were there? So the bar has now got to be lowered. We want an exemption for Caribbean and West Indian people in this country. We deserve it! With blood, sweat and tears, we deserve that exemption. And then finally, why are we at this point? We are at this point because of a hard right rhetoric that wants to pick on immigrants and create a hostile environment. Many of us know, particularly the men amongst us who lived in the Brixtons, the Hackneys, the Tottenhams, what a hostile environment really means. So we want a review of that hostile environment as a lasting legacy, so this nonsense can't happen again. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.